it's important. I grew up in a place where there was no freedom. I grew up in a place where you couldn't say what you thought. You couldn't walk in different places. You couldn't talk in different places. You definitely couldn't sleep with people that you weren't allowed to sleep with. You couldn't have, you'd walk in past the park bench and you weren't allowed to sit next to someone who's not of your race. Because I grew up in South Africa, and I know what it feels like to live in a police state. And I know a lot of people don't know what that's like, because we've all been privileged to grow up in freedom and in a free democracy. But let me tell you, it is not a pleasant experience when your freedoms get taken away from you, and when the police and the authorities and the state start to determine your very basic forms of life and rights that you've taken for granted. When you can't have this kind of conversation that we're having, when you can't say what you're thinking on in a public space, that's when they start clipping away at your rights, and it doesn't stop until they've controlled every aspect of you, and you lose your soul in all of that. When I first left South Africa, the thing that I noticed the most was an absence of fear, and I think we've had an absence from fear in the United States for a very long time, and we got to hold on to that absence, because the alternative is quite horrible to think about.
Yes. And for me, Zev, this journey started, after the election, and everything we've done together with Narrative and this reporting, it's personal for me, because as a mom, I want my daughter 10 years from now to look back and be able to say, this is what my mom did. This is what was important to my mom. And this is how she helped during this time. So that's a legacy I would really want to leave for her.
I think it's so important what you're saying. We think about ourselves, but we mostly think about the generations that'll come after us, and how, what kind of legacy do we leave them? What kind of future do we leave them? And I can't fathom, generations of people fighting so hard for freedom, and then for this generation to leave behind a nothing. Leave
who else can't
freedom.
fathom it?
Who?
My mom's generation.
Yeah.
Because I talked to her, and they've been down this road before, and for her to see her granddaughter live in a time where we have to deal with all of this, that's shocking for her. And so that's more motivation as well, to be out there and spreading the word and doing something about it, not only for my child, but for my mother, for her to see, this is what my daughter did. This is what she's doing for her granddaughter, so that they don't have to deal with the things I dealt with in my, generation.
It's such a good point. And we talked to Daniel about the sort of the demographic of the crowd there. And we look at the pictures of the people out there protesting. They're not young student protesters. These are people who've seen the world. They've seen the world at its worst. They know what's at stake here. And,
exactly right.
And there is a lot at stake, and it might be harder for everybody else to feel like they can make an impact. But every time we say something, every time we're out there protesting, we're doing it for people who are still to come, and it's vital at this time that we protect democracy and to protect freedom. Tracy, I think we should wrap it up there, because we've been on the air for over an hour. I see the march in New York has begun, but I don't see us getting Daniel back, and we've been on for a fair chunk of time.
And I'm not sure that Sherry, she was in Pennsylvania. She was on the ground for us north of Philly, but I don't think she was able to get her connection going. Also, we do have Kate, our friend Kate, who is out in California, but of course the 3-hour time difference, their protests don't even start until 8 p.m. our time. Right. So maybe if she's able, she could do a quick call in or a DM to us, and we could just share what's going on the West Coast, even if it's just to give an update to everybody.
Yes, indeed, Kate. And even if you just want to record some video, we could always broadcast it later on Narrative Live. So Thank you very much for watching. It's our first live event. It went pretty well, so we're all pleased that we've been able to do this. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing. You feel free, as always, if you would like to, you can donate to our broadcast by going to primosocial.com /Narrative Live. That's primosocial.com narrative live. You can donate any amount of money you want. You don't have to just donate the $10 a month. That's a subscription. We take anything because every cent goes to the stories. Every cent goes to our broadcast.
Guys, I want to reiterate, this is a full-time job for Zev and I. We're working 10 to 12 hours a day on getting stories out, getting sources, putting these shows together, coming live. It's not something that just takes us a few hours, a couple days a week. So we really are dedicated, but we can't keep doing it. We just can't without your support. And we really want to, because we feel like what we're doing is really, really important.
I can't echo that anymore, because we've been fighting for the truth now for 2 years. It doesn't look like anyone's going to give us the truth without a fight. We're going to continue to fight for it, because we believe in it, and we believe in the truth, and we believe in what it represents. We don't want to charge for access to our broadcast. We don't want to rely on advertisers, because we know that it'll ultimately corrupt us. So the way we do it is we rely on your generosity. So if you can, please go to primosocial.com/narrative live and contribute if you can. And that's it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to see you, Tracy. And
you too, Zev. Everybody stay safe out there and really enjoy your protest, and do what they said earlier. Shake the hand of the person next to you, make a friend, talk to each other. Let's be a community.
What a great thought. Thank you so much. Good night.